Hello everyone and welcome back. I am here today with part 3 of my Adventure Awaits tutorial for J&S Hobbies and Crafts. Today we are going to be making pages 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I cannot wait to get started. Okay, so last time that we went ahead and worked on our album, we went ahead and did pages 1, 2, 3, and 4, and today we're going to be working on page 5, 6, 7, and 8. The next page I'm going to do is I am going to have to mat it, simply because what I'm going to put on here is going to require for me to mat it first. So I'm going to go ahead and get my paper cutter, and I'm going to grab my designer paper, which, by the way, I cannot wait to put my son's pictures on here because this is an album I'm making for my son. And I always like looking at the previous. I'm all over the place right now, y'all, like no joke. My daughter was in here with me earlier today and she literally dumped every, like, I have like I guess you could say it's like a tier, those little tool drawer things, like for like mechanics and like nuts and bolts and stuff. Well, those have a bunch of my, like, my brads, my buttons, my googly eyes, and all that good stuff. And she was tippy-toeing to reach a drawer and she literally like dumped it all on herself. I mean, she was fine, she didn't get hurt or anything, but all the googly eyes went all over the floor, and her reaction to it was hilarious. She was like, oh no, eyes. And well, anyway, so I usually like looking at the page that is going to be right next to it, so that way I can make sure that the designer paper I'm going to pick is going to match very well with it. And I'm thinking it's going to be this as its background. And yeah, I'm going to pick that one right there. So I'm going to cut that at, this measures again 7.5. So I always go 1/4 inch under that. So it's going to be 7.25 by 7.25. I'm going to first cut off a little strip of paper. And since there's no real design to it, I don't have to worry about alignment. So that is 7.25 right there by 7.25 right there. Like I've been doing before. I know this is brown paper, but you see how there's like a white lining there. I like covering that up so that way it can have a cleaner look to it. And it's just gives it a little crisper look. Now, by the way, I forgot to share the distress ink I am using in the entire tutorial is Tim Holtz Vintage Photo. It's one of my favorites. It's my go-to brown that I usually use. Okay, so once that's done, I'm gonna get my page and glue this right here. Get my glue out. I always like gluing the edges first, and then I go in to the middle. Oh my goodness, good thing it's, there we go, nice and centered. Now, what I'm going to do for this page is I did use some craft envelopes, are the Recollections brand from Michaels, and I used 4 envelopes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of like a little flip book inside a, oh my gosh, inside an album. So now these are a little bit right on the snug side, so they're going to fit right next to its border, which is okay. I don't mind that look whatsoever. But if I were to do it this way, it's the same thing. So I really do think that this is going to work out famously. Because you're going to see the 2 strips on the side. So what I went ahead and did, I already finished it just so that way I can save a little bit of time. I did get my scoring board and I'm going to show you really quick how I set up these envelopes. So what I did for every single one of the envelopes is, you see how here it has a natural score mark. For 3 of the envelopes, for 1, 2, and 3, I went ahead and I scored 1/8 of an inch to the right of that score mark. And when I glued down the envelope, if you could see here, let me get my little scoring tool so I can point. This is the original score mark. There's the 1/8 inch, and I glued it down right next to it. So I glued the entire flap, and I placed this 1/8 of an inch away from that first score mark, and I did that 3 times over. Now this one is going to be what's closing the entire flip book, and this one has a score mark here that is 1/4 inch away from the original. So that way when it flips, it can actually close all the way, and it has a 1/4 of an inch gusset and inside. And inside, what I did do, since you know they do come with cards, I went ahead and I used the card, and I'm going to back designer paper on here, and these are going to be like little photo mats, and you can actually use this for journaling as well. So I thought that was a neat idea to incorporate a little flip book inside the project. So I'm going to go ahead now. The one that I want adhered to the actual page is the one that's going to have the flap that's closing, and that means I want it opening also to the right. So your triangle flap has to be on the left side, so that way when it opens up this way. So this page is what's going to get glued. So that's what is going to happen next. I will show you how I'm going to mat the front, so that way, because it is going to have magnets closing the entire thing. Now, because this is going to have a lot of interaction, I am going to put a generous amount of glue on top of it, or in the back of it, I guess you could say. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that the flap is on the left, and this is pretty much going to be aligned from top to bottom. I just want to make sure that the strips on both left and right side are about the same. So that looks about right, about 1 inch. I'm going to unfold this and just kind of burnish that down. And there you go. That is the page. Now this is going to measure, the mat for this is 5, well, the envelope itself measures 5 1/4. I'm going to leave this as, I don't know whether to leave it as a craft or glue something here, and then just like, I should have done this before I glued it, and then just fussy cut it out. So I think I'm going to do that. So I am going to cut my mat at 5 inches by, and this is 7 1/4. So I'm going to cut a 5 by 7 mat for this, and then I'm just going to lay this right here, just like so. And I'm going to fussy, well, I'm not fussy, well, yeah, I'm just going to cut around this baseline, because I am going to be putting 2 magnets on here. So I'm going to be putting a magnet here, and I do want it close to the middle of the flap. Since it is going to be here, I'm going to want it somewhat here in the middle. That way the designer paper covers it completely, and stick that there. And make sure it's nice and snug. There. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper, and I'll be right back, so that way I can show you how I matted it. So that's that. I've already covered everything up. The only thing I would suggest is to go ahead and mat the flap before you actually glue down your flip book, because that was a little bit on the hard side. But I got it done. I went ahead and I also inked the edges. So when this opens up, you have this place for photo, all this right here. Now I am going to mat all of these with different, design paper, going like this. I am going to cover this little triangle. I'm not going to try and, go along with the envelope look. I am going to do a flat mat, that way I can place pictures on there, but I will go ahead and do that off camera and I will show that to you at the final reveal. So that is page 5. Now the next page is going to be a tri-fold, I guess you could say, flip. I have 2 pages that measure a little bit shorter than the other one. So I have one that measures at 8 by 7.5 and the other ones measure 8 by 7.25. So there's 2 that measure 7.25. Now these 2 are going to be the ones that are going to flip left and right, and the one that measures at 7.5 is the one that is going to flip top to bottom, and I'm going to explain that to you in just a bit. So this is the back part of the flip. These 2 I'm going to attach score tape to it. Now again, make sure that you score on the 7.25 side. Is it 7.25? No, on the 8-inch side, I'm sorry, on the 8-inch side, make sure you score 1/2 inch on all 3 of them. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my score tape and adhere it to here. This is going to be like is the 2 that are 7.25. Those 2 are going to be, like I said, my left and my right flaps. And all I'm going to do is attach them right here, making sure that they are flush with the bottom part of my page. And pull this down and make sure it's lined up here at the bottom. Just like so. So now this opens this way. And this one is going to be here also. Now I'm going to have to trim a little bit here because I don't want it to kind of overlap. So this one I am going to trim about 1/8 of an inch off. So it's measuring right now at 8. I'm going to trim it at just the little slither, so that way the score line won't overlap on that one. So then it's going to be left, right, and top. So on top of here, I have cut some pieces to make a waterfall. So this is going to be a pretty chunky page right here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and they are measuring at 4.5 by 4 3/4. And on the 4 3/4 side, you just score 1/2 inch. And this is the place where you're going to attach your score tape to. So it's a little on the crooked side, but you got the idea. Okay, so I only used 4 of the flaps. The last one I did cut the last one off because this is going to be my base, and this is where I'm going to attach this piece right here, so that way I can make the closure and close it back up this way. So all I'm doing is just eyeballing it. I stuck the piece down there, and I'm thinking I'm wanting it like right about, I don't know, right about here. So I'm going to fold it back down, and that's where I'm going to cut my piece. And this is going to be attached down here, just like so. So I'm going to add glue to that. Making sure it's right in the center as best as I can. Okay, so now this piece is going to get glued down here as a base. And I do need to make sure that it is aligned to the waterfall, like so. And then it's going to close up like that. So that means all of this side is going to get glue. So right here, making sure it lines up. Like so. Now there is a little piece showing there because, like I said, I'm horrible at it. So all I'm going to do is when I mat it, I'm just going to get strips of paper and I'm going to cover it up like that. So it's not going to be noticeable whatsoever. And I'm just going to get my bone holder, wherever it is. Excuse the mess. I can't find it. Where did I leave it? Oh, it's on the floor. And I'm just going to make sure that this is nice and crisp and burnished. So then there we go. Now this is going to use a magnet, of course, so I'm going to pull out 2 magnets. One is going to go on here, and one is going to go on the, that's right there. So again, I don't want to put the magnet towards the edge of the paper. I want it towards like at least a little, like a 1/4 inch away from the edge. That way the paper can actually adhere to it. So now that's just going to get stuck there. Remove the backing, and there you go. Now what I am going to do here is I am going to take a 4x4 card, and I don't think, yeah, I think I do have some there right here. And I am going to attach a 4x4 card to it. I just don't know which one. Monsters are my best friends. This one, let the adventure begin. Well, I kind of don't want, because if I do this, it's going to cover it. So I don't want to do that. Maybe this one, wake up and be awesome. That way if it covers it, it doesn't cover the words. Yeah, I'm going to use this one. Now I do need to cut a piece here that is going to have to measure, I guess, 3.5 by 1 1/4. Okay, there you go. There's the flap. So, okay, again, this is page 5 and 6. This has a little waterfall in the front. And do not forget that this also opens up this way and opens up this way. Now again, the mats, all I'm going to do is measure them 1/4 of an inch shorter than the rest, or actually 1/2 an inch shorter than the rest of the book. So far our pages look like so. When it comes to the book, so this is page 1, page 2, 3, 4. I love the way this spread looks because of the coordinating colors, and then the back. 5. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording, and the next part will be part pages 7 and 8, and we'll go ahead and make this into a 4-part tutorial. This is part 3. Again, it was pages 5 and 6 to next part is going to be 7 and 8. It does have a lot of interaction, so it will be a little bit on the longer side, and I'll probably make a part 5 just to show you how I'm doing the cover and the inside covers and just pretty much embellishing the entire thing. So thank you so much for now for tuning in and watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of future videos that I will post, along with the ending of this tutorial. Thank you again, Shelly, for allowing me to do such a fun and interactive album with your design paper that you send me. I can't thank you enough. Thank you again, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.